All right, we move over to the Western Conference side of things and the two semifinal series out there. On Thursday, the Utah Jazz moved out to a 2-0 series lead over the Los Angeles Clippers, courtesy of 37 more points from Donovan Mitchell. And last night, the Phoenix Suns, well, they're now on the brink of the Western Conference Finals as they beat the Denver Nuggets 116-102. Another big game for Chris Paul. Drink, we've been hard on the Jazz and the Suns for most of the season. Both teams in great shape to meet in the Western Conference Finals. Do we owe those teams an apology?
Absolutely not. Here's the deal. Um, the reason, I mean, honestly, like now you trying to be funny, but why you have to ask yourself why were we being hard? Well, we wanted some proof. The proof was in the pudding. We wanted to see can a Chris Paul led team make some noise in the playoffs? Can he get them over the hump? We wanted to see if Utah was just going to be a good regular season team or if it was going to carry over in the playoffs. I think now we're starting to build a database that, okay, Utah seem like they really are going to be serious. Since Donovan Mitchell has been playing, they seem like the number one seed in the West. Go to Phoenix. Chris Paul shoulder must be doing a little better. Devin Booker has been downright outstanding. DeAndre Ayton has been good in his spots. Listen, like I said, I read a stat that said Chris Paul was 33 assists to 3 turnovers so far in the playoffs. That's outstanding. That's the way you take care of the ball. That's the way you make it to the Western Conference Finals and possibly the NBA Finals by being that efficient. So, with that said, if things keep going as it goes and we get the collision course, number one versus number two, then will we start putting a little more respect on the likes of, this is what Chris Paul can bring to your team. Devin Booker, Phoenix Suns, they're for real. Utah Jazz, Donovan Mitchell's been playing outstanding. What's his name? Quinn Snyder can actually coach a team to the Western Conference Finals, not blow a lead. It was like we wasn't just making this stuff up. We seen Utah blow a 3-1 lead last season. We seen that. We seen Chris Paul get to the Western Conference Final and get hurt. We seen Chris Paul get those Clipper teams in good positions and then they fall apart. So it wasn't like we was making this up. We have the data to prove that. Now, this season, the big dogs out. You got the Lakers that's been eliminated. You got the Clippers that's hanging on by a thread. With the big dogs out of the way, this is a fine time to bring in some new blood. And that's what it seems like we're going to get in the Western Conference. If we get Utah versus Phoenix in the Western Conference Finals, that is some new blood. Just as well, right? Just as well as if we get Brooklyn versus Philadelphia in the East. That's new blood. We kind of got stagnant with seeing the same old guys over and over when it came down to the final 4 teams or the final 2 teams. LeBron, Steph, sprinkling a little KD. Like we was just seeing the same guys over and over. Think this season we're gonna get to see 4 semi-new teams outside of Philly, I guess, in the final 4 of the team in the final 4 of the playoffs. So to answer your question, my confidence level of both Utah and Phoenix is going up. I would be a blind fool to sit here and be like, I still don't believe in them. Like, I'm watching the games. Like, Phoenix is not just beating Denver, they're smoking Denver. They have smoked them in the first 3 games. This is not Devin Booker hit a last minute shot. No, this game is over by 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Probably even earlier than that. So, with that said, you got to put some respect on that. Now, I got it. You've been saying this. It's going to come a time in the playoffs where the Nuggets going to miss Jamal Murray. This very well is that time because they're hurting right now. And then you got the guys that you was depending on, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., they're not it. I'm sorry. They're not cutting the cheese. I heard all this stuff about Michael Porter Jr. going back to being the number 1 player in the country and all this stuff, and he was going back in his bag, and he's going to be the answer why Murray is out. Hey, folks, breaking news. Michael Porter Jr. ain't the answer. I'm sorry. I'm looking. He's playing okay, but okay ain't gonna get you the dub. As you can see, yeah, Aaron Gordon might be playing okay. If that's what you want to say. You want to say Michael Porter playing okay? Okay, cool. All they do is get you beat by 15 to 20. Because if you're gonna make Jokic go out here and do all the work, he got to do everything that's gonna get you beat by 15 or 20, and that's what Phoenix is showing right now. Nobody else want to come to the party? That's fine. That's gonna get you beat by 20 to 25, and that's what's going on. So with that said, I do put more respect on Phoenix. Phoenix look like that they're locked in as one half of the Western Conference Finals. And I do put more respect on Utah. Listen, they're playing the Clippers, folks. These are the Clippers. This ain't Sacramento. This ain't Memphis. These are the Clippers. This is one of the top two teams we've been raving about all year in the Western Conference Finals. This is a team that a lot of people said was going to win the championship last year. So make no mistake, the Utah Jazz are playing masterfully basketball against one of the top teams in the NBA. So we got to put some respect on that. So that, especially if they get them out of here in 4 or 5. If they get them out of here in 4 or 5 games, what are you gonna say? That was a fluke? I'm sorry, I can't get out on a fluke. That's gonna be real. That's gonna be a real deal win. And then you going against Phoenix that look like they're gonna get the Nuggets out of here in 4 or 5. That's legit. So with that said, yeah, man, I got more respect for both of these teams. And I know you didn't ask me this question, but listen, I think both of those series is over. I think we're gonna get Utah versus Phoenix. I've seen enough of a sample size from both teams that make me believe they got a good grasp on what they're doing, how they want to do it, how to get to what they're doing, and we're seeing it play out every other night. I think it's going to be Utah versus Phoenix in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and apologize either, because I think there was good reason for our skepticism both ways. You know, Utah out there with, you know, Donovan Mitchell. We know he's great, but is he that great? You know, is he that great that he can lead a team to the finals? And then Phoenix, you know, there's just a lot of guys that we've never seen in these moments. And then the one guy we've seen, we've seen two, Jay Crowder, but the main guy, Chris Paul, you know, we've seen too many injuries, and we've seen, you know, him come up short too many times. So we're like, well, I mean, we just, you know, I'm looking at the history books. They don't look all that good. So, but you know, you got to give them a lot of credit. And I'm telling you, yeah, this Jamal Murray thing, that's tough, because Denver was rolling at one point this season, and they had, you know, and Murray still had never, you know, was playing as well as he played in that bubble. But we know he's that type of player. And you go back to last season, and we talk about guys, you know, looking to break out. You know, you said Jason Tatum, I said Jamal Murray. In the end, we were both proven right. Tatum just popped a little bit earlier.
Right.
But I mean, you know, it is about the, you know, this is a backcourt versus front court series, which has been dominated by Phoenix. They won all 3 games by double digits. And, you know, it's a tough ask when you have, you know, Devin Booker and Chris Paul, when they get 55, and then Denver's backcourt gets 11. You know, that's tough to overcome. And I know it's in, you know, Campazzo and Rivers. I mean, you know, you can't be upset at them. They're just, I mean, that's just a mismatch. But what you need is, you know, that really nice front court that Denver has to pick up the slack. And just Aaron Gordon in game 3 did next to nothing. Michael Porter, I mean, it's not good enough. And the other 2 guys, JaMychal Green, Paul Millsap, they didn't give you anything either. I mean, I don't think you can get a much better stat line from Nikola Jokic. 32, 20, and 10. I mean, there's a reason he's got the hardware, even though I would have went Joel Embiid, and I'm still a little perplexed at the voting with the 91 first place votes. But you know, but I mean, look, I mean, we know who the Joker is. He's just, you know, it might be the biggest what if from this playoffs for me is what if Denver had Jamal Murray. Because at one point I said Denver's making the finals. Denver will win the Western Conference Finals because of Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. we ain't gonna have that. You know, I can stick out for a long time, but when you get to 3-0, we ain't never seen the 3-0 come back. So I got to get off the wagon. Phoenix, well deserved, and just, I mean, they're so balanced. You know, you talk about Chris Paul and Devin Booker, rightfully so, but you know, Drake Crowder comes out, he hits a bunch of threes. You know, I really like this guy, Mikal Bridges, and what he's bringing, and you know, DeAndre Ayton. That's a high quality big man in there. So that starting five is something to be reckoned with. You know, they can get. You know, I don't love their bench, but they typically can get one or two guys to come in there and provide really good minutes. So you know, they'll be in. I would say about Utah and the Clippers, and I haven't been able to catch much of either one of these series, but I'm just a little curious. I'd like to know where Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are in terms of why is Donovan Mitchell outplaying them by himself. That's just a question I have. You line up the list of NBA players from top to bottom. Kawhi Leonard, no question to me, is the best player in this series. And I don't know, maybe it's time Donovan Mitchell has leapfrogged Paul George.
But I think he has. I'm sorry, I got it. But Paul George, I think Donovan Mitchell has leapfrogged him as the number 2 guy in the series.
And that's fine. And I probably agree with you if I took some time to really think about it. But Paul George should still make it a fight. I think Paul George should still be able to make it a fight to where you'd have to think long and hard before you make that call. But I'm just wondering, like, we talk about the best two-way players in the game. Why is it taking so long and even go back to the Mavericks series? Why does it take so long?
I was just about to say that.
Why do you have to be on the brink of elimination before you're like, you pull out, you look at Kawhi Leonard and like, hey, go get that guy. Shut him down. Mm-hmm. That's why the Clippers are even in this situation, because Kawhi went out there, made things tough for Luka. He didn't necessarily stop him, but much like we talk about the Bucks and Kevin Durant, make it difficult. I mean, Donovan Mitchell's doing whatever he feels like in this series. And that's got to stop. So I don't think that one's over. The Clippers, they do get to go home, and they just look. They did last series. They were down 2-0. They were down 3-2. They showed some heart. They showed some grit. They overcame it. It is going to be tough. It is going to be a little bit tougher because Utah is a much more formidable opponent. And now Serge Ibaka is ruled out throughout the rest of the playoffs. I wouldn't rule that out just yet because Kawhi Leonard, maybe more than any other player, has the ability to reach deep down and just carry a team both ways. So I'm not going to rule them out just yet, but just they're in the same exact situation Milwaukee was in against Brooklyn. They got to win Game 3. They got to win Game 4.
And I would say this. My only problem with that is, and one of those stark differences between Utah and Dallas is this. Dallas didn't have a Jordan Clarkson. They didn't have a guy where if Donovan Mitchell is on the bench getting a breather, whatever start, Mike Conley, whatever, he's on the bench getting a breather. They didn't have a guy to come off the bench and still be lightning in the bottle. And you know how I feel about Porzingis. I just feel like he didn't have enough to come along with him. Where Utah, they got a guy that come off the bench and run everything and keep them engaged. So that's why I think it's kind of over. Because even if Kawhi takes it over, which is cool, that would make the Clippers competitive, keep them in the game. I just don't think they got enough to close it out and win it at the end now, because it's other guys that Utah can bring into the game that can get them points and make tough buckets for them at the end.
And can I just say, I mean, you talk about coaches making adjustments, and I like seeing that game to game. I don't think sitting Rajon Rondo on the bench is a good adjustment. I don't know.
Why would you bring him over there to sit him on the bench?
I don't know what that is. Like Patrick Beverly's posing behind on the bench. I don't know what that is. That is perplexing, and I think Tyronn Lue, that you got to be a little bit better than that. I will say, just to look at here real quick, if we do get a Utah Phoenix series, I'm going Utah, and I think Jordan Clarkson will be the difference. You?
I would like to see how DeAndre Ayton handled Rudy Gobert. If he can make Rudy Gobert work, I think they got a better chance, because I know Devin Booker gonna make him work. I know Chris Paul gonna make plays. I think the big man in that series is gonna really, really be a big deal. Why? Because you think about it like this: Andre Drummond was damn near unplayable in a lot of the games when they played the Lakers. Then they come over here to the Nuggets. The problem is the Nuggets got a really good five, but the rest of the rest of the lineup is meh. So DeAndre Ayton is not he's not asked to do a lot in this series, to be honest with you, because the perimeter. Now, if they was to play Utah, is different. I think you will have to ask for DeAndre Ayton to do more. And if Rudy Gobert dominates him, I'm with you. I think Utah gonna get him out of there. But I'm very intrigued in the 5 series, in the 5 matchup in that series if they play each other.
Yeah, I think it's just like in this series. Even if Kawhi, goes bonkers, I think you think Clarkson, will be the difference. I don't think Phoenix has a guy off their bench that can kind of give them what Clarkson's giving Utah.
Cam Payne been playing all right. He ain't Clarkson. I got it. He's not Clarkson, but just go look at it. He comes in off that bench. He gives them a lot of life off that bench. Him and Cam Johnson, they come in there to give him some life. I'm not saying he's Clarkson, but he's not roadkill either. He's doing something out there.
Trying to pull out one of my favorite cliches. There's levels to this.